What's up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about The Rock returning to WWE, Jade Cargill potentially leaving AEW, an update on Roman Reigns' schedule, and more. So, The Rock recently was on the Pat McAfee show, and he said that The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39 was a lock, and he says that he's open for WrestleMania 40. Now, if you've been keeping up with WWE, The Rock versus Roman Reigns did not actually happen at WrestleMania 39, and in this quote, he elaborated on why. The Rock says, The Rock headlining WrestleMania with Roman Reigns, SoFi Stadium, that was locked. We were doing it. But let me just tell you, so about in the beginning of 2022, Nick Khan, very good friend, he's the man, he was very instrumental in bringing Vince and I together. We all flew to LA, we met, we sat. This was the beginning of 2022. We broke out the Terramana, we toasted life, we toasted the business we love, and about an hour later, we started talking about the potential of what this match could be between myself and Roman Reigns headlining WrestleMania at Sci-Fi. We shook hands and we hugged right there, all three of us at the table, and said, let's do this. So then we had a year to really think about this. So the North Star thought was, okay, let's not do something good. Let's not do something great. Let's do something unprecedented. It was in, what can we create for the fans that has never been done before? A match? Great. Roman, incredible athlete. He's going to be on Mount Rushmore. Super handsome, good dude, my cousin, family. Amazing. We can have the match. But the bigger thought was, what can we do for the fans and the business that we love where WrestleMania isn't the end of something, it's actually the beginning of something bigger. So we got really, really close, but we couldn't actually nail what that thing was. So we decided to put our pencils down. We agreed, hey, listen, there's a merger coming up. Eventually that will happen. He continued, there's WrestleMania in Philadelphia, and he raises his eyebrow and says, I'm saying that's a potential too. I'm open. But again, let's figure out what that is because the fans deserve something just incredible and unprecedented. Not only that, but I also want to deliver to the locker room and the boys and the girls back there who are working their asses off. What can we do to put them in a position where they're a part of something that is a new change and era in this world of pro wrestling? Vince is a big picture thinker, as you know. This is why we've gotten along for years, just trying to think big picture, so we'll see. So that was all of The Rock's quote. Now, The Rock not only mentioned that he is open for WrestleMania 40, which is not until April, but he actually returned with Pat McAfee on the September 15th episode of Friday Night Smackdown. Austin Theory interrupted a returning Pat McAfee, who then was interrupted by The Rock himself for a huge pop from the crowd. This being an episode that also featured John Cena, and The Rock and John Cena even shared a televised moment backstage. Moving on to more news, Jade Cargill could be leaving AEW for WWE. She is said to be finishing up with AEW, and she just returned on a taped episode of AEW Rampage. Now, this was done in a way that kind of feels like a goodbye, which would confirm the rumors that it was likely her last match because her contract is expiring. It's also said she could be going to WWE, which is the most likely option. WWE would be happy to have her, and her name is reportedly coming up backstage among writers, talent, things of that sort. Now, it was noted that if she does indeed go to WWE, money would not be her deciding factor for going to WWE and leaving AEW. Now, one thing to note here is she is good friends with some of the superstars in WWE. This is including Charlotte Flair. Now, it's being reported that she would more than likely go straight to the main roster if she does go to WWE, unless they plan on her doing something with Becky Lynch in NXT with the NXT Women's Championship, but I think the main roster is more likely. But this is something to keep an eye on. If you are not aware of Jade Cargill, she's been a pretty big deal in AEW, starting out with an impressive undefeated record that reached 60-0 before suffering her first defeat and losing the TBS title, which is the only title she has won in her career so far. The WWE and UFC merger is now complete, and the parent company Endeavor wanted to free up 50 to 100 million on the WWE side, similar to how they did when they purchased UFC. Now, in order to do this, Friday, September 15th, WWE released over 100 employees in the company's digital, podcasting, network, marketing, and live events divisions. One notable name who was let go was Dana Warrior, who fans may know for being married to the Ultimate Warrior and giving out the Warrior Award at the WWE Hall of Fame every year. She began with the company in 2014 in a creative role before stepping down to focus on the community outreach department. Now let's talk about the update on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns had his last match at SummerSlam August 5th, and his next match is not scheduled until WWE goes back to Saudi, which is November 4th. He will appear on TV beforehand to set up the match, but this would mean he will be going 91 days without a match. Let me know in the comments if you are a fan of Roman Reigns wrestling a lighter schedule or if you would like to see him appear and compete more. Now, another interesting note here is Roman Reigns is not currently featured on any Royal Rumble promotional material, which WWE has already started promoting for January. So it is possible that he could end up not working the start of the road to WrestleMania unless things change. In other news, Bryan Danielson's full-time career could be coming to an end very soon. He had this to say: "In my mind, it's around August of next year my daughter will say, 'Daddy, are you going to be done wrestling when I turn 7?' And I'll respond, 'Well, not exactly when you turn 7, but I'll be on the home stretch.'" He goes on to admit that he always thought he'd end up wrestling until the day he died, but he says it is not going to be weekly wrestling. It'll be on his time and when he wants. He says maybe a couple of times a year, maybe years in between matches. He says Terry Funk is someone he always admired, saying he retired a million times, but he loved it so much he couldn't help but keep doing it, and he did it when he wanted. Bryan Danielson also commented on his injuries becoming an issue, saying, "Over the past year, I'm getting hurt after every big match I have. That's a sign. I love wrestling, but I do not want to wrestle at the expense of my long-term health. I did the Iron Man match with Max, and then I didn't wrestle again until Anarchy in the Arena, and even that was a lot of smoke and mirrors. Then I wrestle Okada, and I break my arm." He continued, "The injuries are starting to pile up. At what point is it worth the risk, especially when my kids need and want me at home?" So his kids and his family play a big part in him wanting to take care of his health, but he did admit he doesn't see a point where he ever considers himself completely done. But he did hint that if this is his last year, his final year, it'll be the most epic year of his career. Jon Moxley recently said Bryan Danielson is the greatest pro wrestler that ever lived, the most perfect, pure wrestler that's ever lived. Huge praise for Bryan Danielson. Thanks so much for watching this video. That's all the news for today. If you enjoyed the content, consider subscribing to see more content coming soon.